And please enjoy your event today.
Cheers, thank you very much. Thank you for the introduction. And wow, we've got a full house here. It's very exciting. We've just got one thing missing, and that's my clicker. They're trying to find a clicker now. So I'm going to have to do a little dance or something to enter. Very passionate about. And that topic is going to be focused around what the future of customer experience looks like. And I'm going to talk about this idea of the channelless customer. So we've had a lot of talk about omni-channel for the last 5 years or so, and what I'm going to talk to you about is an evolution of this notion of omni-channel and what that might mean for us. Yeah, I'm going to approach the talk today as a former customer, someone who's in the same seat as you, the very good people that are here today. I wasn't always in technology. I've only been in technology for the last 12 years. Prior to that, I was on the buying side of the equation, involved in implementations as an end user in a lot of cases. So a lot of what I'm going to share today actually comes from my own personal journey, but also the experiences I've gathered on that journey from other brands that I've worked with. So again, had the great privilege in my career for working with lots of fantastic brands, big and small, from right around the globe. So again, I'm going to share some insights from that journey with you all. So I'm going to ask you to do one thing for me today. Yeah, I want you to approach my presentation in particular through the mindset as a consumer. Each and every one of us here today is a consumer. We're buying things. We're buying houses, cars, toothpaste, Rolex watches if we're getting paid really well, watches. You name it, we're all buying things. So I really want you to think about your own experiences. Thank you. Yes, I'm going to get on stage now. Sorry, I need to get up here. So please approach my talk through that mindset first and foremost. But before we look forward, I want to look back. I'm a big fan of history. I believe there's a lot to be learned from history that will help guide us make the right choices when we move forward with any new strategy, with any new endeavor. And I'm going to start in the 70s. I know I don't look it, but I was born in 1971. And this was a great era, actually. Actually, from a technology perspective, this is when actual digital revolution started. If we go back to the 70s, we basically see technologies coming online that started to have a real impact on businesses and consumers. We move into the 80s, we start to see technology evolve. We start to see emerging technologies begin to enable us as customers to engage in different ways, to consume content and information. We start to have the cable televisions really start disrupting the media industry. We go into the 90s, now we start to see the rate of technology, the pace of technology accelerate even faster. We now start to see consumers, you and I, having way more control over how we connect with one another, how we share ideas. But also for businesses, mass media created new opportunities for us to reach our audiences through different channels. And obviously e-commerce actually was established in the 90s. So this is where we start to see the first sort of grassroots of e-commerce start to take hold and start to drive or create a new opportunity for consumers and businesses alike. We get into 2000s, now technology is really picking up fast. Digital revolution has truly become global. It's spread from the developed to the developing worlds. We start to see mobile phones really revolutionize the way we communicate and open up new ways of actually engaging with one another. Consumers begin to engage with brands also in different ways. In actual fact, I see 2007 as quite a pivotal moment for two reasons. That's when the iPhone was launched and we saw the iPhone really revolutionize how we as consumers ultimately could consume content or access content. But also Wi-Fi 3 and 3G technology came online around the same time, which really created the opportunity for brands to really engage with us in different ways. But also something else pretty special happened then. That was when Magento also launched as a business. So we're still a pretty young company, but we're also a very experienced company in the sense of the e-commerce world. So it was a quite great a great time. But 2010, if I really think about the last 8 to 9 years, it's been a crazy ride. You know, and what we're seeing is a real shift also as economies mature, as the consumers inside those economies mature, we see expectations change and the demands that they put on the brands that are servicing them increase. So this is something to be mindful of as well as your consumers within the Vietnam market start to become more sophisticated in how they buy things. Their expectations will increase and the demands they put on our businesses will only increase exponentially. And if we think about this in terms of sort of how the channels we've used to go to market has really evolved. On your left-hand side there, you know, we go right back to the Industrial Revolution. The way we engaged with a brand was a lot simpler. Life was easier. You know, most of the people we dealt with were in our community. We move into the digital revolution and information age, we see this multi-channel, single-channel, multi-channel strategy start to evolve. And then in terms of the age of the customer, where we've entered into, the last 5 years we've talked about omni-channel. And I'm a great believer in the need to have an omni-channel strategy, but the big concern I've had in recent times has become a very technology-focused conversation. And what I'm going to put to you today is that we actually are living in the age of the channelless customer. We need to think about our customers not through channels, but in terms of them as people and as individuals, and ultimately consider how they engage our brands through these different channels and what they expect from us. So that's the focus of the talk today, is really thinking about how we as companies and customers can actually find a common ground where we can actually, you know, basically both win. You know, we both achieve the outcome we're seeking. And I'm a big fan of Brian Solis. If you're not familiar with Brian Solis, he's someone I've been following since 2006, I think it was when I started following him. And his work's very good. He's a great thinker, and he says it very well here when he says we're living in a new era in terms of marketing and service, where basically our brands are really going to be defined by the experiences and by our customers and the experiences they have. You know, and the fact is we expect brands to serve us in the ways that we want to be served, you know. So we don't really care how hard it is for a brand to figure out how they organize themselves around our needs. You know, we expect the physical and digital experiences to be integrated. We expect them to be working in a way that enables the employees that are trying to serve me to deliver the solutions or the answers to the questions I'm asking. And we don't really care how hard that is, as I said, so that the expectations are increasing. And it used to be a lot simpler. Again, think back to those that are older in the audience, you know. If you go back, I started work in 1990, it was a lot easier in terms of how we engaged with our customers, but it's become more complicated. In actual fact, we're chasing our customers all over the internet. You know, as soon as I click on something, I've got an ad chasing me everywhere. But here's the thing, I'm getting smarter as a consumer. I know that if I go into my shopping cart, load it up, and exit and leave, and wait a day, maybe 2 days, that you'll send me an offer to come back and complete that transaction with a 15-10% discount. So we're becoming more sophisticated in understanding how we can gamify these tools that are being made available to us. And the reason for that is that, you know, Brian Solis coined this term digital Darwinism. And what he means by that is the people and the culture are adapting. Consumers and culture is adapting much faster to this new digital age than the business is trying to serve them. And that's a real problem. That's actually a problem that faces us all here today. So we've got one option. You know, we could say, you know, hope and pray that this problem's going to go away, but clearly that's not an option. You're all here today knowing that this is an option, yeah? The other option is we can take our existing old processes and technology and hopefully reconfigure those in a way that helps us solve for the problems. But again, the reality is that's not going to work for us, because these technologies, in a lot of cases, were designed to work in a different era, a different world. You know, they were designed to work through single touch points and not considering all of the touch points that you might have with that customer over the entire journey. So we really need to also consider that a lot of these could be reactive approaches in terms of how we evolve the business. And we need to really also consider the explosion of new technologies, new capabilities that are coming online each and every day or every year in terms of presenting new opportunities for us to evolve how we engage those customers. Yeah, we need to think about how this relentless change is not going to slow down. It's just going to continually, present new headaches for us as a business. And we need to create a business model that has the agility to adapt to that. Because again, research shows that the customers that we're trying to engage are becoming more demanding and sophisticated, as I said earlier. So this research out of the EU telco markets found that when a customer used multiple channels to engage a brand, that the actual experience got worse. Yeah, which is really crazy when you think about it. Yeah, you're providing more options for someone to engage with you, but by doing so, you're actually damaging the brand. And why is that? Why is that happening? And the fact is, the way we assess an experience with a brand isn't through the single touch points, it's through the aggregated sum total, the collective total of all of those experiences, all of those touch points is how we will ultimately value a brand over one over another. Yeah? And we really don't care about channels. We don't think like that. In actual fact, a channel is a mere window into your brand. If I'm engaging you through your mobile channel or your email channel or your chatbot, whatever it is, it's just a window into your brand. It's one single window. We need to think of it in that way. So what's causing all these challenges? And again, I'd like to say it's a complicated, it is a complicated problem in terms of what we have to address here, but it's not a new idea. The reality is our businesses have evolved and have been built around business models that were designed for a different era. And as a result of that, we have all these silos in our organization. And as a result of the silos, we have marketing, sales, customer service, logistics, supply chain, finance, all working independently of one another. And ultimately what it does is it creates cultures that basically don't collaborate. That ultimately you have people putting arms around data saying, this is my data, I'm not going to give it to sales. That's where I control that data. So we need to think about who these functional guardians are and understand that at the end of the day, if we don't break these walls down, we'll lose sight of the end goal of what is to ultimately, hopefully, deliver delightful customer experiences that help us drive profitable revenue growth. Yeah. So the problem is, though, as I said, the companies we work in have been wired very tightly to focus on a transactional mindset and don't consider the customer's journey end to end. Gartner, I think it is, had research that showed that on average, most businesses will have 1,200 touch points with a customer while they are a customer with their brand. 1,200. How many brands here today could actually go back and say, what are those 1,200 touches? And have we documented that? Most brands don't have a view of that. And the reality is a relentless focus on maximizing productivity and not really thinking about how do we actually empower our employees to deliver on the brand promises we're making to our customers. For me, what's really important, and when I look at the brands that are really successful, the ones that are really doing well globally, regionally, or locally, they really understand the customer's journey across the whole enterprise, from awareness to advocacy, from the moment someone becomes aware of a problem, to them seeking out solutions to that, to them engaging in finding solutions, to the solutions being provided, to them buying the product, to them actually post-sale service, and all the different important touches that occur on that journey. And they focus on understanding what those key moments are. And as a result of that, they get a better sense of what the customer needs and expects from them. Yeah? They ultimately think about touch points as being transient and occurring within channels. Customer journeys are holistic and independent of channels. They are ultimately channelless. And this is, again, a concept that I really would encourage you to think when you go back to the offices. Now, at this stage, you might be saying, Nicholas, oh my God, this is all too hard. I don't want to work in business anymore. I'm going to become a monk, or I'm going to go into the hills and meditate. But actually, it's exciting. This is really exciting time to be in business. There's a lot of opportunity for us to be able to go in and start driving a revolution in our own companies, to become agents of change in those organizations. And e-commerce is driving this. We're seeing a big mega trend globally in terms of consumers shifting away from traditional channels to embracing digital channels. We know this. We see this globally. 20% growth rate globally. But if you look at here in Southeast Asia, the internet economy in Southeast Asia is forecast to have grown from 32 billion in 2015 to $240 billion in 2025. If you look at the Vietnam market, again, e-commerce market was value in Vietnam is forecast to have grown from 5 billion just in 2016 to 15 billion by 2020. So this is incredible growth. And we need to think about what does that mean for our businesses. We're seeing e-commerce share of total retail sales here in Vietnam go to 8.2% of total sales by 2020. This is up from 1.5% in 2013. So these are big shifts that we're seeing, mega shifts, massive shifts. We look at the penetration of the internet in the market here. Again, 64 million internet users, 66% penetration in Vietnam. But you guys also love using your devices, yeah? 6 hours, 42 minutes you spend on your devices, yeah? This is a lot of time, yeah? So we're using these devices heavily. Think about the transit time you have to and from work when you're on your buses or trains or cars. The people are hopefully not driving and using the device. But yeah, we're seeing also local consumers here engaging in 97% of Vietnamese internet users search for online for products or services to buy. 87% of locals have also visited an online retail store on the web in the last month. 87% of Vietnamese consumers have visited an online retail store on the web, and 77% have purchased a product or service online. These are amazing statistics. Yeah, we're seeing a real fundamental shift locally in terms of how consumers are embracing these new channels, these new technologies. And actually, Asia Pacific as a region is really the fastest growing region globally. If you look at all the data points, this region, so if you're looking to broaden your business outside of Vietnam and look at cross-border trade, again, you need to think about this in the context of not just your local consumers, but what about the Koreans and Japanese or Chinese or Australians in markets that you're looking to sell into. So again, we're seeing a mega trend here that's really going across the region. And it's really exciting. It's a genuinely exciting time, for us as a brands to go back and think about how we can energize our business and change the makeup of the DNA in a way that enables us to embrace these concepts I'm touching on. Because if we don't do this, if we don't evolve the way we operate, we will become redundant. We're having a great conversation just earlier before the session started on this very point, that the bigger the company, often the more arrogant they become and think, oh, I don't need to change. In actual fact, that's a big challenge for a lot of the big companies, and that's where smaller, mid-sized companies in particular have more agility to be able to adapt and actually can take advantage of these megatrends in a way that can give them a competitive advantage over their competitors. Omni-channel iterated on this multi-channel sort of idea that I spoke about right at the start. It helped us start beginning to think about how we capture this data and start aggregating the data in a way that could provide more context in terms of who Nicholas Kontopoulos is. When should I start engaging with him? What type of content should I engage with him? And I think that the next phase in terms of evolution will be focusing now more on how we bring the front and back end of the businesses together. How do we bring the front office, as in marketing, sales, and customer service, and the back office, supply chain, logistics, manufacturing? How do we bring these two parts of the organization together? So I reckon the focus needs to be on convergence. How do we converge the organization around our customers to deliver ultimately what will become, hopefully, delightful customer experiences? This is the new challenge, And to evolve our business, to really drive digital transformation, we need to think about how we bring this end-to-end experience together. You think of it in the context of one customer, one enterprise, one experience, one enterprise. Bring the business together and really think about how we can drive that transformational change. I'm going to point to Quartz, a Singaporean brand that has roughly 80 stores across Malaysia and Singapore. A fantastic, iconic brand for those of us that live in or have been to Singapore. And they were recognizing that their traditional business was under assault. Their bricks and mortar business was under assault. And they knew they needed to adapt. They had to look at how they could embrace digital and actually use it to drive transformational change. And it's a really exciting story. They looked at, how they could integrate their email service, in-store customer information business systems into Magento, migrating, their ERP system, Microsoft Dynamics, bringing all these pieces together in a way that enabled them to harness that data, that insight, that rich insight that was sitting across all these different parts of the organization, enabled them to also change the way they serve their customers. So I could start my journey online, like most of us do. I could go onto their website, find something that I like, click and order it, and then go into the store and actually collect it. So click and collect became a really powerful tool for them to drive footfall into their physical stores and then cross-sell, upsell when the customer was in there. So it was a really transformational project that's actually led to some really amazing work. SmartOSC did a fantastic job here in really understanding their customer and their needs and working with them in a way that now has delivered, amazing results. 41% increase in online revenue. I mean, that is amazing. 92% increase in page views, 52% increase in mobile transactions, 74% year-on-year increase in mobile traffic, leading to 11% growth in conversion rates. I mean, these are fantastic numbers, and a real credit to the vision of Quartz and to the digital transformation and the partnership they had with SmartOSC and Magento being working together to help them drive that change. Now, I'm a big fan of Jack Ma. He coined this term new retail. And he's a billionaire, he gets to call it what he wants, but basically it's the same concept of what I'm talking about in terms of this idea of a channelless customer. And we do really see this. We look at the businesses that are at the forefront of driving change and becoming the true disruptors, whether they're traditional businesses or new businesses. They're understanding this concept of how we bring the whole business together around their customer. And it really does start with listening to our customers and also our employees. Don't forget your employees. They're such an important part of the equation. Ideally, we need to be arming them with the tools, the information, the insight that enables them to deliver on the brand promises we're making to our customers, yeah? And to do this, we need to look at how do we capture this data, all this amazing data that Nicholas is leaving. As I engage with the brand, I'm leaving a digital trail, I'm transactional data, all this data, create a digital customer cloud for Nicholas and start using that in a way that starts anticipating what I want to buy. Also, let's close the loop between offline and online. O2O, we need to collapse that. The digital experience and physical experience need to become, meshed together in a way that I don't even distinguish between the two. And then we need to really knock down these silos that we have in our organization. It's a really important part of the equation. And let's also ask our customers what they want. Again, we can talk to our customers and really listen to what their needs are. Customer loyalty is about know about our customers. We then need to look at their behavior within the ecosystem. So don't just think of it in terms of your own business, but also your partners you're working with, your logistics suppliers. All of these people will play a role in ultimately helping you drive a positive result for your customers so that we can start anticipating what they want from us. Now, I'm really excited to be part of Magento now that we're now acquired. For those that aren't familiar, we were acquired by Adobe last year. And it was a really exciting acquisition because what we now are able to do is really deliver a powerful set of digital transformational tools designed to help you really reimagine the way you deliver your customer experiences, from content all the way through to delivery. It's a really exciting proposition. Now, Magento is a key acquisition for Adobe in this respect because what we deliver is a world-class platform that enables you to scale your business locally, regionally, and globally with a platform that's trusted, that is backed by amazing partner ecosystem globally. We can deliver solutions in a faster way than many of our competitors. We can deliver you a platform that is continually being innovated on. It's a platform built for the digital age. It's also able to scale for hyper growth. So if your business is growing in a hyper growth area, our platform can actually help you grow in that respect. So it's a fantastic time for us. We're really excited about what this means for us as a brand and what it means ultimately for you as businesses. So I'm going to wrap up my presentation with a quote here. Peter Drucker is someone I followed for a long time. He was a great thinker, and I love this quote from him. He talks about the purpose of business is to create a customer. The business enterprise has only two basic functions: marketing and innovation. Marketing innovation produce results, and all the rest are costs. As a marketer, I love this quote for obvious reasons. I feel pretty good about that quote. But if I was honest, if Peter Drucker was here today, I think he'd update that quote. I think he would remove marketing and he would say customer experience and innovation are the two most important things. And customer experience represents all of the enterprise, not just marketing. It's all of the functions coming together and driving innovation. So our goal, and I challenge you, when you go back to your business, look at how you can remove the fear from your customers when it comes to engaging your businesses, or the fear your employees have in trying to serve them. Think about how your customers are evolving, how they are using technologies in new ways. As I said, think about your own consumer and professional buying expectations. Think about how you can move from personalization to individualization. So how can we take the data and deliver Nicholas a really rich experience? This is going to be absolutely crucial going forward. And ultimately, there is money to be had here. So there's lots of data that shows that this can drive bottom and top line results for your business. In actual fact, the brands that do this consistently beat their competitors. So this is a journey, it's not a destination. I'd love to say that I could sell you one bit of software that solves all this, and if I did, I'd be lying. Anyone that says that, they're lying. Yeah? It's going to involve a lot of different partners who are coming together and working with you and helping you drive that transformation. So the end goal here is to create an experience that ultimately, delivers a delightful experience for your customers and also your employees. But I ask and challenge you, don't wait for your boss to figure this out. Start actually going in and building a movement in your organization, finding those projects that you maybe can do, drive a meaningful change in the business, and think big, start small, basically. So my name is Nicholas Kontopoulos. I really enjoyed being here today. I'm going to be here this afternoon, so feel free to come and approach me. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm one of the only Kontopouloses on LinkedIn, so you should be able to find me. Feel free to join me. Thank you very much. Cheers.